biggest trend that I'm seeing in the industry is when I started out, the security guy fit a type, which was a guy, usually an ex-hacker, and now security folks are more reflective of the diverse world that we live in.
In 2020, we've seen a lot of people shift from working in an office to working from home. And whether we're going to see a trend of people returning into the office or not is a hotly debated topic. I believe we will have a hybrid at best, where we're not going to see a mass return of people going into offices. And this is going to lead to, okay, what do we do then? Are our controls that we put in place for COVID in 2020, are they sustainable long-term? What other policies do we need to put in place? So that's one of the hot trends, especially with this working from home. One of the other trends is going to be a focus on IoT. The more you work from home, you're sitting there, you're working, you're typing out, and on the same network, you say, hey Siri, play this song. Alexa, do this. Or hey Google, I want you to place my order for Chinese food. It's being interpreted and action is being taken. So the more people I have talked to about these IoT devices is that data is not sensitive. Okay, you can continue to think that data is not sensitive, but I can build a profile about you. So as we're going with IoT at home or even in the business, it's how valuable is the data that's being fed in, because the IoT vendors are not building security in. They do not believe that the data is sensitive. There's not encryption. They don't care about just using default credentials for everything. The communication is not being put over secure communication channels. So I believe IoT is going to be ripe for data harvesting if something does not change it in the near future.
You look at specific trends around data. People tend to look at data today as exhaust. We collect it, we might use it, but they're not worried about what they've captured and being able to justify the reasons for what they've captured. With the advent of GDPR, CCPA, LGPD in Brazil, there's a lot more coming, and there will ultimately be a federal privacy law that will set off realistically a tsunami of activity, because people haven't had to think about it much to date, except in the education and healthcare space. But as more people are forced to, there's a very limited number of resources to be able to deal with that. And so probably the biggest trend is the realization of what data do we actually capture as a company? How do we use it? Who do we send it to? How do we protect it?
As we're looking, you've got these regulations that are coming out. Yes, it started with GDPR, but privacy is now standing on its own, is being shown to be more and more important. What is that going to look like as we go forward? What is going to be the way that we transfer data in the future?
I see kind of a retrenching where people are asking themselves, how much more value can I get out of the tools that I'm using? There's a lot of things that are shelfware today. And one of the things that I've tried to drive in my organization is that we use the tools as effectively as we can. And realistically, when you look at it, people will ultimately use 20-25% of any application. And how much better do you get by taking your utilization of an application from, say, 30% to 50%, and you're saving money at the same time?
I think obviously people will see things like ransomware and see that that's a trend. For me, I think the trends in the industry are, again, the elevation of the role and the importance of the role and becoming a risk-focused organization, and then that constant evolution of the threat. So the reason we're starting to see ransomware, or continuing to see ransomware, and it continues to grow, people started paying the ransoms. And so as people pay the ransoms, there becomes a market for this, and you build your own financially incentivized market. I think going forward, the buzzwords that everybody hears today are machine learning and artificial intelligence. I think that's a really intriguing part of our industry, and also very threatening. So as attackers start to use artificial intelligence, I think it's going to raise the game for all of us. The other trend that I think a lot of us are watching is the move to product, right? It's gone from a professional, security was professional, to now security is personal. So each of us at our home, you've got a connected TV and a connected refrigerator and your connected car. And so I think that product or platform aspect of security is starting to become much more prevalent and more personal.
Most of my background is in educational environments. And right now, the biggest trend in cybersecurity and education is ransomware. Ransomware is a hideous, hideous monster that is randomly attacking K-12 school divisions, colleges, academics, state agencies. It is not something that is easy to prepare for. You could have everything right in your network. You could still get hit by ransomware because your users are the ones who may execute that. Your users are the ones who are the weakness in that chain.